I don't get it. Good morning, Stephen.
Good day to you. Yes, that was interesting. This is twice we've got this little getting on problem. Once we're here, there's no problem at all. But it's one of those things, isn't it?
I'll have to talk with Caitlin. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but I was in Chrome originally, and I took all 4 of the shots that you gave me as invites there. Didn't work whatsoever. So I decided to come over here to Firefox, and when I got into Firefox, and I know I've been out here and set my default camera to vMix several times, and yet every time I come out here, it goes and tells me that it wants to use my ManyCam again, and I don't use ManyCam very often. So there's something, some weird glitch in the defaults that are.
Yeah, I got to admit, I've uninstalled ManyCam because I was rarely using it, and did you say it comes up as a default?
Yeah.
It seems to have magical powers that influence Windows 10.
And that doesn't surprise me. I mean, sometimes when you have the always on drivers, you do have to be careful because you can tell ManyCam not to start during the startup, which is something that a lot of people don't realize. So that is one thing that I tend to turn off on all. I really don't like many startup programs on my machine. I try to take off as many as possible. So I do what I can there.
I agree with you on that because it just uses memory.
It's Tuesday already.
It's Tuesday, and good afternoon, and welcome to Across the Pond with myself and Leland. And good afternoon, Leland, episode 9.
I know we're working our way up to double digits here, aren't we?
We are quietly. Now, quite a lot has happened in the last week or so. Where shall we start?
Well, honestly, I think I mean, we won't necessarily give ourselves a moment of silence because that's hard to do on the air when you're live. But, you know, with the passing of Gene Wilder, obviously, yesterday, that's one of those things that I think was felt across the world. I'm certain of it, actually. So, you know, very big fan here. One of my favorite movies, Willy Wonka, for sure, was on the top of the list. I have probably seen that movie at least 20 times over with my children. And just as a kid growing up, and even as an adult, if it came on TV, I would be more than happy to sit through another episode of that and just watch it for the next 2 hours. I love that movie.
Totally agree. I mean, he was able to make you laugh without saying anything.
Yeah.
I mean, when you put him and Marty Feldman together, it was sort of a magical combination. And Young Frankenstein, all range of films that made over the years. Part of our lives, part of the backdrop. And as you say, it's not, you can go back to the films and play them again, and they bring back happy memories. And thinking of him, you think happy thoughts, don't you?
Yes, absolutely. I don't think I've ever, well, there were, I'm sure, a couple of serious type movies that he did where he played a serious part for a while, but even in his seriousness, there was a sense of comic relief that you always felt that you could gain from just the way he carried himself. And I think, honestly, Gene was one of those kinds of people who were true to himself. That was really who he was. It wasn't as though he was putting on some kind of masquerade or acting as someone that he wasn't. That was just simply Gene Wilder. That's who the man emanated, and that's the greatest thing about it.
That's true, and his films will live on, and you'll remember fondly around the world, as you quite rightly said. He did manage to cross boundaries with his comedy and his approach, and very sad. And I think it's right that we should mention him. And
it even came up. I was over on Smiletime yesterday during the broadcast with the Office broadcast that Allegra T does, and Alex brought it up in the chat. Definitely changed the mood of the show that we were having, but it was her show. But she brought me on, and I kind of ended up becoming the host for the show last night. She said, "No, you take the stage. You go ahead. You do what you want." So I sat in there, and then when Alex brought up Gene, it was just one of those obvious things that you could tell. And they have a lot of UK viewers actually over there. I was kind of surprised when I was mentioned on their Smiletime page the other day, which I thought was so wild. They gave me a shout out on their Facebook page the other day, which you happened to catch. I didn't even see it until you posted it. So thanks for that.
It just turned up in my timeline. I mean, the Facebook algorithm is a mystery to us all, but it turned up in my timeline, and I thought, right, okay, well done, and let's promote that a little bit, which I did, and that's basically what networking is about. It's helping each other.
And I like the fact that some of these networks, and that I think is a key differential between what is a good live streaming platform and what is not, is how much, you know, effort that the people behind the platform put into their content creators and help to share their stuff. I know Firetalk, if I were to ask them to take our event and put it on their Facebook page or shoot out a quick blurb, they would do it if we got a hold of them ahead of time. They would be happy to. I think Huz is the same way. And I know for a fact Smiletime would do that. Now, is that necessarily the case with places like Crowdcast and Daily Motion and Stream Up and all those? I don't think so. Those are ones that are very hard to even get a hold of support. And like Meemee TV is another one that it's an interesting concept and platform. I haven't even opened an account over there, I don't think yet. I don't think I have. Have you?
I have, and I've interviewed a lady who runs the show over there.
Oh, did you? Oh,
and
okay.
She has, I mean, they've got great plans for the site, and I wish them well doing it. I may well do shows from over there. But thank you, Bob. Yes, I enjoyed the interview, and we kept in touch on Twitter, because I retweet their shows and they retweet my shows, and you know, we've built a very good relationship since that interview, and that will continue. And if I want to do a chat show with talking heads, then I would look at Six Up on Meemee.tv. For show production, there is.
You can see through my phone. You mentioned the word Twitter, so I thought, I don't know if you guys can see this or not. Let me see if I can get it to show up on the screen. No, probably not. I thought I'd see if I could share a phone on here. Vincenzo Landino shared this morning, about a half an hour ago, actually. The breaking news was that Twitter is now going to do a 70-30 revenue split with its content creators over on Twitter. So is that going to bring some folks over to that side of the pond? It was on CNBC, actually, this morning. So I haven't had a chance to read the article. So anyone out there that's a big Twitter fan and interested in what's going on with live video over on Twitter, make sure you jump over and find out what CNBC had to say about the article. Was written by Julia Boorstin, Boorstin. And it's basically to try and unstagnate the creation of videos that's going on over there. You know, Facebook's revenue share with their creators is actually set up closer to 50-50. And now with Twitter coming out with a 70-30 to try and maybe snag some of those content creators and bring them over to Twitter, we'll have to see. The war rages on, Stephen. It rages on.
It does, because content is king. And content is not just Twitter or Facebook, it's now live video as well. But yeah, I mean, as we said last week when we were talking about Twitter have got something to fight back. As you said, they were making 600 million a quarter, so it's not as if they're going anywhere quickly on disappearing. So yeah, that'd be interesting. I shall certainly pop over there and take a look. Now,
and it won't. Go ahead.
Now, I'm going to mention a new video chat system, Smiletime. What are your thoughts?
I've got lots of thoughts.
Yeah.
I mean, I can just start off with the fact that I like the fact that it's a fresh take on WebRTC. They obviously have gone an extra step, and rather than just using you know, plain old WebRTC, I mean, the video obviously is all about WebRTC, and Stephen, you know much more about programming code than I do. There's another underlying bit of software that sounds a little like Firetalk, actually, over here when you talk about it.
Yeah, if you say it quickly.
Maybe you know more about it than I do as far as the software goes, because you are a programmer.
Yeah, true. But the basic principle is that all the platforms, Crowdcast, Huzza, Firetalk, are all using WebRTC and TalkBox. That's the commonality. And the thing about that is that provides the video, but it also provides other things as well. Now, what Smiletime has said is we're only going to use TalkBox for the video side of it. Anything on top of that?
Let me correct you.
Sorry?
It's actually,
Okay,
they're using their own breed of WebRTC. This is a proprietary platform. They are not using TalkBox, which is one of the key things that I see being the differentiating factor of Smiletime and all these other WebRTC platforms. And it is, Barbara said, that is a big deal because they have control over the system. They have control over when it breaks, they can fix it. They don't have to rely on TalkBox to come up with an update or a patch or a fix or whatever they have to do to make it do what they want it to do. They simply go in there and recode it and make it do what they want it to do. So they are at a much different level. They're kind of at the TalkBox level where TalkBox is using WebRTC to create TalkBox. They have now created their own little operating functionality that works behind the scenes. And then, of course, they wrap in, what's the name of the other software, Stephen? I'm sorry. Firebase. That's it. Thank you. I always forget the name of that. Not to be confused with Firetalk. Firebase is a coding language that's used to generate all of the other aspects of the site, like the chat features, some of the graphic aspects, some of the switching between other channels and things like that. So that's where it, and that's the other thing I really like about Smiletime over there is that you can have one account and several channels. Rather than here where you have to have a separate account for every channel that you create. Over there, you can have an unlimited number of channels for everything that you do. I have two. One for my personal channel at Leland Best, and then the other is for BCBLive, which will be more of a webcaster's workshop, which I will be putting together here in the fall. So that's, yes, exactly. You have a network, Barbara, and I think that's the awesome way to look at it, that you can create, like I may even have a gaming channel out there. I don't know. I love to game every now and then. So maybe I'll come out there and just show people what it's like to play around in a video game and screen share and talk about it and see if anyone else has ever played the game that I've played, that kind of thing. So I think it'll be fun.
You're not tied into having a one channel. You can have as many channels as you, well, is there a limit?
I don't believe right now there is, Stephen. I'm sure you wouldn't be able to handle more than 5 or 10 at a time.
True.
I mean, how many do you need?
Another key thing that came out of your interview with Alex, and thanks to Bob, who knows him from the Hulu days, is that for the first 500 hosts, they're giving extra help. Is that right?
Yeah, that was the word from Alex. I was fortunate enough when I first went over there. And honestly, I go out there daily to see what's going on, and it's been kind of dead. Not many people are using the platform at all, and I kind of found that interesting because I don't think they've said a lot about it in the public eye. So I'm trying to make it a point to go over there. Hello, Evan. Nice to see you out here today. I'm trying to make it a point to be there every day, to at least make myself present, and I'm getting some good traction. I'm getting people to sign. I've got subscribers over there. I know I've broken a couple of dozen now already, but it's just the fact that because there are so few broadcasters, you're kind of in the limelight. You're at the top 2 rows, and you're there, and you're one of the only broadcasters. And Alex and the team have been on just about every one of my there's another one, String Wire. Better go check that one out, Stephen. We've got a new one to look into. Thanks for the share, Evan. We appreciate that. It's just one of those things where I've gotten really accustomed to going in there and meeting up with the tech team, myself and Allegra, who's in our Facebook group, and then Randall. And there are actually 2 Alexes over there. There's an Alex K. Kruvlog, I can never pronounce his name right, is actually the... No, it's Kruglov, K-R-U-G-L-O-V. So it's Kruglov. He is the CEO and owner. Used to be the content acquisition, head of content acquisition over at Hulu. So he's a well-known, very efficient and hardworking individual who has a reputation behind him. And there's other team members on there. There's also an Alex J. I forget his, I think it's Jacques or something. It's a French name or something like that. So he's the other individual by the name of Alex that you'll find over there. But they're always there, and they're always motivating you to keep broadcasting, and they're talking to me about all the software I use. So I really appreciate that they're there in the events. And I got to interview Alex, and he told us a lot about it. So if you want to ever go find my interview or ask me about it, I don't really have it posted anywhere yet. It is on Facebook Live over at Leland Best Live. So you can find it there if you want to take a peek at it. What about you? Have you lucked out there?
I watched it earlier today. I've set up an account on there, and I've got an idea If we switch from Firetalk for the last 15 minutes to
and just go hang out.
Just go and hang out. Yeah. And
I don't have a problem with that. That'd be fun.
The tour. So we've got that. We're gonna do have a look at Smiletime in the last quarter hour of the show. Because basically there's a key thing here, isn't there? I know Bob and yourself and I have talked about this, and this is audience. And Smiletime has a seamless integration into Facebook. They seem to have a good relationship with Facebook themselves, and your show went straight from Smiletime out to Facebook Live, and it works.
Yes,
doesn't it?
It has had glitches. I won't deny there's still a few things that they're debugging over there, you might say. So hey, Dorm, nice to see you today. It's just expected. They've only been live for a week. They went live last Wednesday, so it hasn't even been 7 days. Give them till tomorrow, and that'll be their first week live, and they're going to be ironing out bugs for a while. And the other thing about Smiletime is you can go over there now and look at it and go, this isn't what I want. It doesn't have screen sharing. It doesn't share out to Twitter and Facebook and all these other things that you can come up with. But honestly, they're all features coming, and there's going to be features coming in for monetization, and they're considering Patreon or other ways where they can really just like their own tip jar type thing. So there's so many features coming that to just turn around and go, Smiletime not for me. I'm not ready for that yet. It's junk. There's nothing there, is a big mistake, if you ask me. I think because of who's backing it and his experience in live broadcasting and VOD also, which is video on demand, which is another feature that is still on the way at Smiletime. Am I getting feedback from a bird? You have a bird, don't you?
We've got chickens. We'll come on to chickens in a minute, but we may be just a moment.
Is that what that is? This is chickens. It's funny that you brought up the chickens, Stephen, because you and I were sharing a post the other day on Facebook about chickens, and when I heard the chirping, you might not hear me now because your headphones are out. But
yeah, we had. Sorry, I'm coming back now.
No, that's okay.
We had background sound effects from the chickens.
It was the chickens. That's funny. I was just telling the people that we were having a personal conversation on Facebook about chickens yesterday. So, because I got a 4-year. Go ahead.
No. Like chickens, it's strange, isn't it, that we should suddenly find out that chickens are us. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we had about 40 some chickens when we were living just down the road from where we're at now, not along the same part of the river, but we were at further off, just about 3 miles from where we are now. So we had 40 chickens in a coop, and I got a memory on Facebook yesterday that was about my little deuce of the coop, which was the name we gave the little bantam that we had. He was a black and white bantam, and if I can get around to finding the picture, I can go ahead. Well, here, I can do that real quick. He was just adorable. He was one of those guys that when you went out in the morning to feed them, I wouldn't even get 20 feet from the roost, and he would come flying out and land on my shoulder. And he was the first one to crow. So it was all of these experiences. And then I realized, Stephen liked my post, and then he starts showing pictures of his chickens. And I was like, he's got chickens. This is cool.
It was one of those moments. I mean, the beautiful thing about keeping chickens is that you get the freshest of fresh eggs every morning.
Oh, absolutely.
So eggs for breakfast is definitely on the menu most days of the week, and you can't get a better start than that. And muffins as well, English muffins. So there you have it.
Here, I'll just do this.
Yeah,
I'll do this.
Patricia's just posted that Stringwire is affiliated with NBC, which makes it even more interesting.
That's what I'm seeing over there. All right, here's my chicken, Stephen. I got to show my chicken to all the people over there in the crowd that want to see him. Can you see the whole thing?
Yes. Yep.
All right, that is little Deuce of the coop. I honestly don't know where he is now, because when we were leaving the restaurant, we had to vacate our chickens. We had to actually give them away to other farmers in the area who were going to continue to tend them. We made sure that we found people who were actually had a heart to keep the chickens for either penning or egging or raising other. Obviously, we had some meat chickens also, but we had Chanticleers. And you said you have Black Rock and something else. What else?
Yeah, we've got Black Rock and it's got 3 friends. We're not sure what they are. They are from Wiltshire. That's all we know.
Very cool.
But yeah, I mean, keeping chickens is sort of, they have characters and they have a purpose in life. Yes. And they're quite happy if you feed them. And absolutely brilliant.
Yep, and Americanas are also, we did have some Americanas also, and thanks for bringing it up, Spy Gadget. And I see you out here, Spy. I haven't seen you in a while since the old glory Blab days, so good to have him out here.
Well, yeah, no, that brings us neatly. The mention of that.
I'm going to subscribe over there.
Yeah, that brings us neatly to customer care, because you just stated that Smiletime, which we've been talking about, is based on Smiletime's own version of WebRTC. They don't use TalkBox, so I'm taking that to note. And the other thing is that they are, in fact, looking after people. And they have an approach which is customer-centric. I mean, we go over there, we are customers, aren't we?
Yep, sure are.
Yeah. Now,
and we will be at some point, I'm sure. I mean, obviously, no site, unless they monetize it correctly on their part for, third party. And, oh, that was the other thing. Wait till you hear this. Now, you had mentioned that they were going to kind of hold hands of the first 500 over there. Yeah. Well, not only that, but they actually have some supporters, some sponsors in the background who are looking to find shows to sponsor. Now, obviously, this isn't going to be for your little run-of-the-mill 100 subscriber type feeds. They're going to be looking for people who have 5,000 subscribers. That's only the way that they function. They want a large base to advertise to. But it's the connection they're allowing to create that is so important. They're offering these sponsorships to people who can show that they're going to create a mass audience that, hey, you've got an audience here. Will you broadcast my product on your show for me? I think that's huge. So we'll have to see what happens. But I do find it interesting, like you just mentioned, this NBC thing with Springtime. Is it Springtime? What's it called? Stringwire.
Okay. Stringwire.
We'll have to go check it out.
That's the problem with all these names. Meemee TV, Smiletime. There's no indication of what they actually do. Crowdcast is probably the closest name-wise to saying we broadcast to the crowd. Now, that brings me on to something I do want to raise. I think we both want to talk about. And that's platforms which are charging for the use of WebRTC in the creation of shows. And if anything, they should be taking more care of the customers. But there is a problem, isn't it? In that they're all, as you said earlier, based on TalkBox and WebRTC. Yeah. And if one platform has a problem, they all will.
They basically do, yes. And we've experienced that on all of them. I think, Stephen, we saw it starting with Blab, and even after Blab played around with the platform for so long and realized there were some issues that they just couldn't help correct, then we move over. Some of the people that went from Blab went to Huzzah. They started to experience some of the same video audio glitches in the recordings that we were seeing over on Blab, which is inherent to TalkBox. They're seeing the same thing happen out at Crowdcast. Videos are disappearing from the background. We've heard from some of our contributors in our Facebook group. So obviously there are issues with the base platform of TalkBox that you really can't control. And not having that control leaves you open to the possibility of losing some really important information and data that you've generated, content.
That's right, because when you're doing a show and you're bringing guests on and you're interviewing those guests and you say to them, right, after the show, I'll send you the recording, I'll send you the MP4, you can repurpose it. If there is no recording, you've effectively broken a contract, haven't you?
Oh, for sure. And Spy Gadget mentioned, and I'm sorry, Spy Gadget, why can't I remember your first name? I know it starts with an M. Stephen, do you remember what, is it Maurice or Monty? Oh, geez, man, I'm sorry, Monty. I should have known better. I did get the M right, but for some reason, I haven't seen him since Blab, so I'm sorry, Monty. It's been like months since I've seen you out on a live stream somewhere. Yeah, I'm curious. You said you want to see if we're going to get good quality content like what we're doing here. Are you referring to Smiletime or the Stringwire is my question. I would expect you're probably mentioning Stringwire, but it looks like Stringwire right now. I see the apps are available on both platforms, which is huge because Smiletime does not have an Android app and you cannot broadcast from the iOS app yet, but that is very close and very near future. So don't blow that one off yet. That one's obviously coming very soon. And like I said, there's so many features coming in all these platforms. And I think, Stephen, too, how many of these platforms have we gone to and requested stuff they don't have.
No, this is the next thing. We are going to go back to Blab, because Blab is where many of us began our journey, and it had everything we needed. And we're now applying not necessarily the same. We want everything to be the same. We want the video.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you there.
We want the chat. We want the share, and we want the recording. And we're trying to make everybody the same. But obviously, these guys have all got their own roadmaps as to how they're going to do it. And we're never going to find perfect, are we?
Well, we're never going to find everything we want. Let's look at it that way. We may be able to walk into one of these and go, oh, this is perfect, and this is everything I need. But like, for instance, with me, when it comes to people begging for screen share, I really wish they would come to the realization that there are so many other ways to do a screen. You saw me share my chicken just a second ago. You're the only one that controls screen share here on Firetalk in this event during this period of across the pond. So, you know, honestly, there are workarounds. There are ways to get past the site that doesn't have screen sharing if you're just willing to go look into the software, spend a few minutes to learn it, and then apply it to your show the way that you need to use it. So that's one of the arguments I'm kind of becoming tone deaf to when people keep saying, I need screen share, I need screen share. I'm like, go get OBS, go do your own screen share, share your desktop there. You don't need this platform to give you screen share. It's just not necessary. So I'm hoping people start to learn that. And I try to teach that to anyone that asks me for advice on using a platform like this. I try to show them all the little things they can do themselves that they don't have to rely on for the platform. And even recording is another one. You know, you can always record your own shows with a screen capture.
Yeah, cost-effective workarounds are freely available. I mean, if I didn't think Firetalk was stable, which it is, I would use Screencast-o-Matic and record the whole screen. And we're talking $20 a year, and that would record it perfectly. So there are ways, always ways around it. I mean, the key factors that we need. Let's just make a list. Are good quality video, good quality sound, a recording, and the ability for everyone who's here today to interact and ask questions.
Yeah, and I agree. And there does have to be some form of social interaction. I know with the folks who are here today, and we appreciate the fact that we have, you know, close to 10 viewers here. And we did get used to, when we were over on Blab, we'd get 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 people rolling into one show. And over a course of time, it could have been as high. I mean, Jonathan and I know hit a mark one day where we had 600 people show up during the course of an hour for one show. And it was simply because we titled the show. And I have to admit, this is one thing I'm not seeing very often in some of the newer platforms, but we do see it in certain forms. Like here, you have a title for the show, Across the Pond with Leland and Stephen Healey. But that's primarily what it is. It's a title for a show. And if you recall on the Blab days, we always had like a new show title every week or every day, honestly. Every day we had a topic of discussion, and it was always present in the corner of the show. So people always knew what we were talking about. And I think that drummed up a lot, a whole ton of interactivity where people would go, oh, they're talking about Twitter today or whatever. So they would go, because they didn't know about Twitter, they would go and check out the show. And that's one thing we're missing on some of these platforms, is that ability, unless we share it and specifically apply in the share what we're doing. The front page doesn't really tell people what we're up to. It just says whose channel it is. And that's it. Yep. And that's similar to, now your event is different because you could probably apply a name to an event at any time and tell people what you're doing. But when it comes to like going live on a show here at Firetalk, you can go live, but until you share it, people really don't know your show from anything but the title of your channel. So there are some things there where I would like to see the content creation being done to draw its viewers in by the way the show is presented as it's titled. And, you know, I thought that drummed up a whole lot of activity. I really do.
Yeah, good point. There is also the situation where you want to create brand awareness, and therefore a static title is helpful. But if you on the show page and in tweets, you can still put out what the show is about. But point well taken, point well made. Right, now we have a I'm just going to check here. We have a running order, and I'm just going back to it. Excuse me a moment.
Okay, sure.
We said that we would talk about. I think we're doing pretty well in covering our original list.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. We had just a few things to talk about, and I think Twitter kind of popped up out of the blue. I don't have any Google news, but you did mention something about Apple, and there is two things there. With Google, obviously September 12th is going to be a big date because that's when Hangouts on Air is going to shift over to YouTube Live. So it's not going away at all. I've seen so many articles saying Hangouts on Air is dying, it's dead, they're turning it off. No, they're not. They're just moving it. They're moving it away from G Plus and bringing it into YouTube Live. Yeah. There will be some small features removed from the software suite that you had available before. Google Hangouts, the original Hangouts, is now WebRTC based, 10 people in one room. It's a little different than it used to be, so go check that out. It's been around like that for a while now, but I still play with that every now and then with customers and my family and things. But have you tried the Google app? Did you get a chance to try Duo yet, Stephen, for the phones?
No, I've got hands up. I have no interest. I think it's
I'm not too keen about it. We've tried it. We had good luck with it at first, but then it faltered quite a bit on trying to get bandwidth for some reason. I'm not sure what it was. It was telling me there wasn't enough bandwidth to play the video, and yet I'm sitting right here next to a Wi-Fi router and 60 meg internet and everything else. So I was like, all right, not sure why that's not working. So obviously some bugs over there at Google. And then the Apple iPhone 7 is going to be out any day now, within the month of September, I believe. It should be coming out next week sometime. And you had mentioned something else about Apple being sued over there in the UK. Well, so what's up with that?
The situation is, if we look at the major corporations, Apple, Microsoft, IBM, they have turnovers and they are worth more than some countries. So they have great power. Now, with great power comes responsibility. But what they do try to do is they try to mitigate the tax. They pay as little tax as they have to legally. And nobody's saying that Apple have acted illegally, they've acted within the law, but they have been given 18 billion euros in tax breaks by being based in Ireland and all their European profits being remitted to Ireland. So what the European Union has said is you owe Ireland 18 billion because you're not allowed to have favorites. So Ireland cannot say,
holy cow, really?
You can pay less tax than everybody else. The corporation tax rate in Ireland is 12.5%, and effectively Apple have been paying 1%. So no doubt they will appeal it. But back to my beginning of this is that some companies are bigger than countries, and so we'll see what happens.
So that was So that was 1.8 billion, you said, right?
No, 18 billion.
18 billion.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yep, they have paid 1 billion in tax. There are 18 billion that they haven't paid. So
totally missed that.
That will go to court. And that's the EU again, which we soon won't be part of. So yeah, there is that story, and I'm just going to check something else today.
Are we going to?
Yes, sorry. Go.
Are we going to your channel after this, Stephen, over on Smiletime?
I'd love to try it out. I just want to do a screen share.
Okay.
Just want to do a screen
share. I just wanted to get what is your handle? I'm going to be sharing this out to let people know we will be over at Smiletime if they come over and miss us. So it'll be Smiletime channel / what is your channel name over there?
It is, just a moment.
Oh, look at him go. He's screen sharing.
Can you see anything?
I can now. It just popped up.
Right. Okay. This is a brilliant idea. This is the London Tube, who said that basically they are issuing badges.
Okay, I did see some.
And the badge says,
"Please offer me a seat."
Yeah.
Okay.
And they have.
Oh, I got it.
The basic idea is that if somebody has a condition which you can see, then you will offer them a seat. But many people suffer from conditions we can't see. And
yes,
this
true.
is to help people identify themselves as in need of the ability to sit down while traveling on the London Tube. And it's an idea which will take off, I'm pretty sure. And it could.
That'd be nice. I wish they had that around here, because my wife suffers from fibromyalgia and tachycardia ventricle tachycardia. So she has a heart condition and the condition of the nerves. So it's one of those things that you don't see any disability in her, unless obviously it's, you know, constraining her movement in any way. But that would be kind of a neat idea. I'll have to look into that and see what's available over here in the States.
It just struck me as
I love the...
Sorry?
Well, I just love the fact that there are those times where we can find things that are being done in one side of the pond, and then hopefully across the pond we can change something on this side. And that was evident when we did the broadcast months ago over on Blab for the Don't Stream and Drive. Yep. Thanks to Sergeant TCS. Neil was awesome. He put together a wonderful program, and it went global. And it was one of those things that allows us, being over here in the US and you guys over there, to really share what's going on and know in the end that we can make a difference and move things from one side of the pond to the other. So that's cool.
Indeed. Right, my Smiletime link is there.
All right, it is Stephen Healey. I gotcha. I'm sharing that out right now.
And hopefully, our grand plan is this. If we can all go over there in a couple of minutes' time, we'll run the rest of the show from Smiletime so we can have a look around, and we'll go live on Facebook as well. So that's the grand plan.
Ooh, gonna go all out, aren't you?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean,
let's put a break. Let's, like we used to say, let's try to break this thing, huh? Let's see what
only one way to learn, that's to jump in. You don't learn by sitting on the sidelines. So we're going to go for a break and try to get.
Now, do you want me to do a quick? Let me do a quick share here, Stephen, or unless you. This is just so that people who aren't familiar with this is. I'm going to disappear for a second so you guys can see this. This is basically what you're going to see on the front page, and I know you can't see it all, but what you're going to notice. Let me see if I can do. Let me see what I'm seeing through Firetalk. Close enough. What you're going to see, obviously, is a huge list of people's shows, and let me see if I can find you real quick, Stephen. There you are, right there. So just look for that little icon there, and that will be Stephen's channel. When you pick into the channel, it will take you to a screen like this, and the chat you cannot see because there's nothing in it right now. It would be off to the side, but this is at least where we'll be able to go in, and if we want you to come on camera, you'll be invited by Stephen, the host, to bring you in. You can share GIFs in the chat. You can upvote the chats that you like to see, like if somebody puts a link in there. Now you cannot click on the links if you put a link in the chat, but at least you can subscribe. There is a button, and I'm going to shrink this down so you guys can see the actual button. You see that little heart over there to the right? That little heart is how you can subscribe to Stephen's channel when you get into the page. So make sure you make that heart turn red, and that will make you a subscriber to Stephen's feed. All right, that's all I got, Stephen.
Okay. Right, so shall we head over there?
Sure, let's go.
First of all, shall we say thank you?
Absolutely. Thanks for being here, everybody. We do appreciate it. This is Leland from this side of the pond.
And Stephen from across the pond. And it's been our pleasure again to talk. And hopefully, in a couple of moments' time, we'll carry on talking on Smiletime. So keep smiling, and we'll see you shortly.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. See you.